What up, Soar Gang, and welcome back to the hobby. Today we're going to be looking at what I think the top 10 Pokemon cards from the new Twilight Masquerade series are, and whether you should be buying them, selling them, or holding off. Now, I do want to mention that these are my top 10 picks that I want to talk about today. There's going to be a lot of market fluctuation, especially now that this set has released and the market has flooded with a lot of these cards. So you're going to see a lot of dips in prices. A lot of these cards' prices would have probably trickled down further by the time this video comes out, as that's naturally what happens when it's a newer set. So do keep that in mind when you are shopping. Starting off with my favorite card from this set, the Eevee. Obviously, this is a beautiful card. You've got 8 Eevees here, all just hanging out together. 8 evolutions, right? Because they're all going to evolve into something different. This is a beautiful card. It's my favorite card, probably one of my favorite cards from the Scarlet and Violet era altogether. I was lucky enough to actually pull this card on my live stream last week, so that means I'm pretty much done with Twilight Masquerade. I'm probably not going to have to open anymore, but of course, there's always the Greninja. Now, this one is currently going for about $38. Again, we have seen the dip after the set has released. The sales of these cards have also fluctuated between $40 to $80, which again, it's really going to depend on when they were sold. My honest opinion on this card, it's probably going to increase in the future. It's just one of those cards. It's an Eevee card. Honestly, when we look at what happens with Eevee and its evolutions and anything that involves full art and secret rare and whatnot, it always tends to keep its value or increase over time. Right now, for $40 to $60 or whatever you can grab it for, I think it's a fantastic price. I think I'd still try and attempt to pull it from a booster box, as they're still relatively cheap. But again, if you can find it for something around the $40 to $60 mark, I'd go and just grab it because I think it's a great price. Next up is the Buddy Puffin, a beautiful gold looking card. They've made this into something amazing. Obviously, it is super expensive, currently going for about $53. Sales range between $50 and $80 as well. Obviously, with the pre-release market, that the prices were a little bit higher. Again, with this card, my honest opinion, it's a no buy. It's a sell right now if you have it, because it's a very playable card. It's a card that looks nice for people who are trying to soup up their decks, and really and truly, it's not really going to hold its value. Once Buddy Puffin is out of rotation, I mean, really and truly, it's just going to be a whatever card, maybe like a $5 card. I know that sounds crazy, but if you have this card, if you've pulled this card, take advantage. If you're not somebody that's trying to master the set, if you're not somebody that plays the game and wants to soup up their deck, sell this card right away. Make yourself a few bucks. This is the time to do it. Obviously, we're going to talk about Greninja EX. This is the top card from the set. I mean, not my top card, but it is the top card from the set, and it's probably going to be one of the top cards from all of Scarlet and Violet, and that's my opinion. Obviously, just look at this card. It's a beautiful looking card. The colors are beautiful. Everything about it just says, you know what, this is going to be at the, I know I'm going to be crazy when I say this, but we're looking at maybe Lugia V or like Rayquaza VMAX levels, you know what I mean? Like something around those lines, that it may have that kind of value in the future. Right now, again, we're looking at a price range of around $130, which is, I mean, again, for the chase card of the set, and probably, again, as I said, one of the chase cards from the Scarlet and Violet era. 130 bucks is not too bad. I would just try to look at what the price looks like over the next few weeks, see what people are saying and what they're doing before jumping on this one. But again, in my opinion, in the future, this is going to be one of those super sought after cards and very, very pricey. And just looking at a few recent sales on this one as well, again, around the $150 mark, which is more or less around the same price of what it was at TCG. Again, a little bit of fluctuation here and there, but it's kept its ground so far at this point in time. Next up is the Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX. Now, this is a interesting card. I actually personally like it. It just, you know, you've got Ursaluna there, you've got, you know, the two Teddisaurs as well, and Munchlax just hanging out in the background there. You know, it's just a bear fest. Honestly speaking, I don't see this card being the super chase. I don't see it actually even holding that much value in the future as well. If I was to compare this card to something from the Sword and Shield era, if you want to be honest with you, it's probably going to have that kind of Golrock from Evolving Skies, the alternate art value sort of card. It's going to be around that $20 to $30 card at one point. Right now, it's around that $70 mark. It probably is going to dip even further by the time this video comes out, because it just fluctuates so quickly. I'm not going to look at recent sales on this one, just because, again, I think, you know, $70 is a bit much in my opinion. I would just hold off and see what the price looks like in the next couple weeks. I have a feeling it's going to dip below the $50 mark. even probably less than that. So again, nice looking card. It's just, there's just too many, I would say, cards in this set, where we've got Greninja, Eevee. We haven't even talked about the trainers yet, but again, this was just another rare card in the set. And I think it's just going to be around a $40 to $50 card, probably even less in the future. So next we're going to talk about a couple of the masks here. And again, for me, they're not anything special. I'm going to be honest right off the bat, but we kind of have to talk about them just because of the prices and what's going on. And again, this is Twilight Masquerade. And we'll start off with the teal mask here. It's currently sitting around that $60 mark. And to be honest with you, I'm probably going to see this one go down further at one point. So for me, it's just hold off if you want this card. Again, you'll probably see the price drop on it as well. It's a little bit expensive right now, in my opinion. Again, all of these masks are probably going to be roughly around the same price. For me, I chose teal just because green is my favorite color. But really and truly, there isn't much difference between all of these different masks that they have. The next mask we're going to touch on, the Heart Flame mask. Again, pre-release prices were around $55. We're already looking at around a $38, $39 card. It's dipped substantially here. It's even cheaper than the teal mask. Again, for me, these cards are just kind of like whatever cards. If you do have them and you can offload them right now, I think I'd take the $30 or $40 for these cards, just because for me, there isn't much specialty about them. It's just, they're whatever for me, honestly speaking. Although I'll give it one thing, I do like the artwork a little bit. I just don't really see how it's going to hold its value. That's the only thing I'm saying. Next, we're going to talk about Drakloak EX. Now, I know this is going to sound crazy, but this is just a regular EX card, and pre-release market price for this card was like in the $40 range, and it's pretty insane for just an EX card. I already dipped down to about $15, $16, probably going to dip even further down here as we can see it. But again, for me, it's one of those cards that if you have it from pulling it from opening up booster boxes or whatever, you just have a bunch of them. It's one of those cards that, again, you want to list on eBay, make a few bucks, as this card is probably going to drop down below the dollar mark once it's out of rotation as well. So again, right now, a very playable card. That's why the price of it's pretty up there, or it was up there, and still is, I would say, for an EX card, $15 or so. If you have it, sell this card right away. Unless, of course, you're playing the game, then, you know, keep it, use it, and then sell it. Next, we're going to talk about Perrin, and obviously, we're going to have to talk about this one because this is one of the chase cards, one of the nicest looking waifus out there. Going for around $60, again, has had a bit of a price drop since the pre-release. And if we look at some of the recent sales on this one, anywhere between $55 to $70, again, not bad. Personally, it's a beautiful looking card. Again, you know, you've got her there holding the camera, you've got Growlithe in the lens. It's a very cool idea. I mean, shout out to the artist for making this card. I personally would love to have this card in my collection. I haven't pulled it yet. I pulled the other Perrin, the cheaper version, as they call it, but I don't have this card in my set. It's definitely one that I'm going to collect at one point. But again, it's one of those cards that you want to watch a little bit longer just because of all the hype. We've seen what happened with Iono and all of her cards, and there's been a lot of dips recently. So again, just one of those cards you want to watch. You might be able to get it for a little bit cheaper. Again, if you pull it, fantastic. If you see it for a good deal, grab it as well. And continuing on with the waifus, it's time to talk about Carmen. Obviously, this is the most expensive trainer card, the most expensive waifu card in the set. Honestly, it probably beats the rest. Just look at the artwork on it. I mean, like, she's got like the food in her hand, she's got a candy apple or whatever in the other hand, and it's just a nice looking card. Again, very similar, reminding me of the Iono Flex with her eating the food and whatnot, but again, it's just a beautiful card. It started off as a $120 card and dipped all the way to the $80, $85 mark. As you can see, we're already seeing price drops in this one. And then the recent sales on it also are about $80 to $100. Again, my honest opinion, nice looking card. I hope you pull it. If you don't pull it and you really want it, I would just hold off a little bit longer as well, just to see what happens in the next couple weeks, because you might see further dips again with this card, and you probably can get it for even $50 or $60, maybe even cheaper, who knows. And the last card I want to touch on is one of the A-Spec cards, the Unfair Stamp. I love the name of it. And the reason why I picked this one out of all of the other ones was because of how expensive it was during the pre-release. This card was going for around $40 to $45 and has dropped significantly down to around the $15, $20 mark. Again, it's a nice card, great card to have in your deck for those of you who play the game. But again, if you aren't collecting the set, I would consider offloading this one as well, just because, again, in my honest opinion, all of these A-Spec cards, they're going to be good for a certain amount of time. And then once they're out of rotation, really, I mean, the only one I could think of, honestly, keeping its value is probably going to be the Master Ball, just because it's a Master Ball. And the rest of them are probably going to be whatever. So if you have these cards, if you pull these cards, you're not a player of the game, try to sell them right away, just because they have the value right now. Again, as soon as other A-Spec cards come out and there's a change, you're going to probably see them drop further because you're only allowed to have, from my understanding, one of these cards in your deck. So again, as they make more of these, they're probably going to have more popular ones, and these are going to probably dip even sooner rather than later. So again, if you have this card, for me, it's an offload right away. Anyways, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I decided to take a break from looking at Sword and Shield era stuff, talk about the Twilight Masquerade, as obviously it has just released and there's going to be a lot of price changes, a lot of talk about different cards. Let me know in the comments what you think or what your favorite card is from this set, as well as which cards you're going to see a lot more movement. And I'd like to hear more from you about the Eevee card as well, whether you think that's going to move up in price or it's going to be one of those whatever cards. And again, if you guys like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.